Don't let anybody tell you that there's not an upside to being a couch potato. This is a running injury I'm recovering from. It's 3:50 a.m, the 1st of May 2000. I am a police officer. My partner, Constable Charnel Cole, my sergeant Chris Mulhall and I are investigating a routine job. Death threats which were spoken 14 hours earlier. Chris is in the driver's seat of his patrol vehicle and is using a mobile phone to do background checks on the suspect. My partner Charnel, she's in the front passenger seat and she's using the police radio to do background checks on the 2 males who called us to the address. I open the rear passenger door, sit down, slide into the middle of the back seat so I can listen to the information coming in. And since we're only going to be here a few moments, I'll leave this side door open. It's dark, it's still, and it's so quiet you can hear a pin drop. All of a sudden, I hear from outside the vehicle this pat, 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 pat sound. And I wonder, what can that be? It must be some neighbourhood dog running up to the patrol vehicle. So I nonchalantly turn and look. Standing there is a man. Pointed less than a metre from my face is a .22 calibre rifle. Bang, I'm being shot in the face. Bang, I'm being shot in the arm. My hands are around my mouth. There's blood, there's teeth, there's bones. I try to open the door here. The child lock's on. I cannot get out. I sit up. Chris's door is open. His seat is empty. Charnel is splattered with blood. She looks motionless. I scream, get help. I draw my firearm. I go out through the door that I got shot through. I'm running on adrenaline. I'm in fight mode. I'm starting to search. I want to find and kill the gunman. Chris, Charnel and I are all shot multiple times. But incredibly, we all live. A massive manhunt commences. Brisbane is on edge. At the end of the 3rd week of the search, finally a breakthrough. The gunman, Nigel Perotti, is found in bushland. The rifle he shot us with, he used to take his own life. I was shot in the face and the shoulder. And the damage that first bullet is inflicted is shown here. The bullet smashes my maxilla bone, destroys 5 teeth, deflects down, enters my tongue and lodges in my throat. But what is the impact on my mental health? Initially, I am stunned and dazed. It's like winning gold lotto, but on the other end of the spectrum. You mean to say somebody came up to me, placed a rifle less than 1 metre from my head, shot me in the face, and I am alive today to tell the tale? Incredulous. I learned my body is not bulletproof, and I'm about to learn that neither is my mind. I am in fact walking along the edge of a cliff, and an event is about to occur that's going to nudge me over the edge of that cliff into a downward spiral for my mental health. 7 weeks after we were shot, Senior Constable Norm Watt from the Rockhampton Dog Squad attends a domestic violence incident. Norm was shot once in the leg and the bullet severs his femoral artery. Unless the blood flow is stopped, you bleed to death from this type of wound in 4 minutes. Help did not arrive in time for Norm. He bled out. Chris, Charnel and I, we are all shot multiple times and live. Poor Norm is shot once and dies. I suffer survivor guilt. Why am I alive? This triggers in me the full fury of post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. I'm trying to live a normal life, like attending a night venue with friends, enjoy a quiet drink. When all of a sudden, my heart races, my pupils dilate, I'm highly agitated, I'm overcome with a feeling of, I've got to get out of here, I've got to get out of here. What is happening? The flashing lights at the night venue causes my subconscious to recall the rotating red and blue lights from the night of the shooting. This triggers danger for my subconscious. My body goes into survival mode and I have to leave the venue to calm down and recover. I think I am going crazy. So I tell no one. But then I recall another officer who was involved in a shooting, what he confided in me. I'm seeing somebody to help with my mental health. Thinking about what this officer did, I decided to do something. What do? I will tell you later. First, let's wind the clock back to an incident that occurred over 50 years ago. In 1962, the Australian government starts to provide all expenses paid tours of a small Southeast Asian nation, Vietnam. Australians go to war. Chris Mankelo joins the Australian Army in 1963, aged 17. He is an infantryman and in 1965 deployed to Vietnam. He's in the 5th month of his tour and he's on patrol. He is walking point for his entire platoon, carefully moving through the jungle, looking for the enemy and closely watching for booby traps. Chris's Armalite assault rifle pushes up against an almost invisible piece of wire strung out in front of him. As Chris moves forward, the wire pulls on a live hand grenade in a tin can. The grenade drops to the ground. Kaboom! A chunk of flesh the size of 2 fists is torn out of Chris's right calf. His right leg is broken and his torso showered with shrapnel. A helicopter descends, he's medevaced out. He's taken to a casualty clearing station. He's operated on and in time he is transported to an Australian military hospital in Malaysia. A surgeon comes over to Chris and says, "If your wound does not start to heal, Chris, I'm afraid we're going to have to amputate your leg." The Australian medical staff are able to save Chris's leg and he returns to Australia and he soldiers on in the army in various training sections for another 3 years. But it gets to the point he's had enough and he resigns from the army and burns all his uniforms, all his photographs from Vietnam and all his military documentation so he can leave the horror of the Vietnam War behind him. The only thing he could not leave behind him were his mental health problems. Things get so bad for Chris, he becomes dangerously suicidal. But he seeks help. And in time, he wants to help others. In 2000, after the shooting, surgeons start the long 7-year road to reconstruct my shattered mouth. This is me coming home from the first operation, a bone graft. The operations are horrifically painful, but I'm suffering in another way. PTSD is causing in me dreams, anger, anxiety, depression, hyperarousal. My mental health is shattered. I am then introduced to a Queensland Police Service psychologist. His name? Chris Mankelo. Chris now lives 40 minutes from Melbourne, and he and his wife Liz are here today. Thanks, mate. Chris spends a lot of time with me. He builds trust. So what do? I follow the example of the officer who confided in me. I start talking to a mental health professional. I tell Chris what's really going on inside me, the dreams, the anxiety, the depression, and how the sight of a police vehicle, it is just so painful. Chris explains PTSD to me, and he draws on his personal and his professional experience to build rock-solid trust. He says to me, "I've been there, mate. I've had the gun in my mouth, finger on the trigger, ready to end my life. But it doesn't have to be like this." And I think, wow, I'm not crazy. There is hope. Chris is able to make me understand that my psychological reaction to the shooting is a normal reaction to a very abnormal event. But still, the sight of a police vehicle makes me shudder and turn away. Chris suggests something. Desensitisation treatment. Confronting. But because of the trust that Chris built as a psychologist, I agree. I sit in his recliner chair and he asked me to close my eyes and explain the events of the night of the shooting. I talk about receiving the job, attending the address, speaking to the males and returning to the patrol car. And when I get to the point of describing the bullet impacting my face, that memory is so raw. I jolt out of the chair, I open my eyes, and I gasp for breath. Over the coming months, Chris takes me through the desensitisation process 6 times. At the end of this, I can talk about the shooting step by step without any adverse reactions. As surgeons start to reconstruct my shattered mouth, Chris, as a psychologist, starts to restore my shattered mental health, not only enabling me to go on and live a fulfilling life, but to remain in the police, continue my career, and receive 3 further promotions. I have learnt the hard way. Not one of us is immune from a mental health issue. A psychological injury is just as real and just as treatable as a physical injury. And I know from experience the change that can come from talking, and psychologists are at the forefront of treating mental health issues. Chris, from me, my 85-year-old father Alan, who is here today, my late mother Eileen, we cannot thank you and your skills as a psychologist enough for what you have done for us all. We will be forever in your debt.